Welcome back, disc golf fans, to the 2023 TruBank Des Moines Challenge presented by Discraft. We are here for the back nine at Packard Park, and this is a Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series event. 4 players, 4 down on that front nine. I'm Nathan Queen, again joined by Andrew Fish.
Hey Nathan, great to be here. Great to be back. I really like the Packard Park course, and I know this back nine has some great scoring opportunities as well as some very challenging tee shots.
Yeah, as you see there, Robert Burridge, the only player able to stay clean on that front nine. That will be a feat to do on the back nine as well. A new name out front, but there's a couple people tied with him and some other hot scores along the way.
Hole 10, 860 feet, par 5. If you've watched coverage previously, this will be a little bit different. Tee pad has been moved about 25 feet to the left, and they've changed the mowing pattern on the right side. That makes this second shot a little more intimidating, a little more punishing if you hang it out wide right, and then the green perched across a little out-of-bounds creek. This right side still available if you have big power. Callaway's not going to hang it out wide right enough. Still fights through to a pretty credible birdie position, though.
Yeah, what a good fight. Yeah, this tee pad really did kind of deter a lot of players away from the right side hyzer, but big power out here on our card. Still going to go huge hyzer around. There's a low ceiling up the middle, and there's also kind of a low ceiling forehand.
Yeah, I think a really good change to make the tee shot a little less mindless for the righty backhand, as Wysocki gonna run out of bounds after hitting a branch.
Yeah, all you gotta do is get it wide enough right there, really. If that's your play, then you know that. But yeah, definitely a good couple changes that they made on this hole to make it a bit more difficult of a par 5. The tightened second shot, as you mentioned, also. Both of these things kind of take that eagle play pretty much out of it. I don't see too many people trying to attack this for a 3.
I think it's possible, but you're just inviting too much risk for how easy the birdie can be. Wysocki, this is running to the right as well, and that's also going to go out of bounds. He will be throwing 5 from somewhere in the 250, 280 range.
Man, and that's not what you want on this hole.
More common play, throwing a righty hyzer around the tree in the second landing zone, and midway down the hill is about all you need here. Burridge, plenty of width. This is going to run towards the left side a little more aggressively, but I think as a mid it'll have enough stop on it.
Yeah, threw that very high with a lot of spike, making sure it didn't have much right to left movement. Calvin not close enough to put the pizza in the oven, but he's still going to go ahead and toss it out there.
And kind of in between the below the branches and around the branches play, but still effective.
Yeah, they're a bit farther back than you'd ideally like to be to approach this green, but it is still a pretty approachable even with all the OB around it.
Good recovery shot by Ricky Wysocki into circle 1, and from that spot he was definitely blind to the basket, right, Nathan?
Absolutely. Calvin also probably has to look around some branches to try to see this basket, and looks like he gets a great branch to keep him from going OB right.
Yeah, this green is fair but small. Callaway going to play the backhand turnover. This is dragging right.
Wow.
And going to bounce back in.
That's some pretty incredible stuff right there. That grass just heavy enough to push that disc over, and Robert showing us that almost like vertical release sidearm again, hopping up into the circle nicely.
Yeah, that's a pretty textbook way to play the hole. Calvin saws off his approach, doesn't saw off his putt. Look at them go now. Good follow through, good release, high in the chains.
Yeah, gonna move him to 5 under on the round now. 3rd easiest hole on the course today, so you definitely want to get that birdie. At 60% of the field able to collect that birdie or better.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, Chris Dickerson definitely not playing for the eagle, but did throw it in for the 3 from 151 feet on U-disc.
I heard the crowd cheer. They had a good gallery following them, and boy, they got hype in a hurry.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to get hype for. That was the only eagle on the day.
Ben Callaway extends his birdie streak, and Wysocki kind of makes the most out of his 6, only through the disc 4 times, and Burridge also for the 4.
Brings us into hole 11, a tricky little par 4, 721 feet. I say little because your first shot feels little, but then your second shot, you've got this little gap that you've got to hit on the way up to the green. Perched on a nice hillside to make you roll away as well. Your placement off of this tee shot is paramount.
Very, very critical. Couple options here. Callaway going to show you one option with a Predator. Throwing a flat to hyzer with a stable disc. He's trying to bite off a lot here. And actually will spin the camera guy around.
In this case, in a bad way, though, as he pushes too far, which is the hardest thing to not do on this hole. Very easy to find that far tree line. That's why Ben went high, to try to avoid that.
Yeah, you'd like to get late stalls so that all of your movement is to the left. Heimburg going to follow that. And he told me that his practice round success rate was pretty good, being able to get to a throwable spot. And lands it well ahead of the standard short tee pad, but trickles into the right side.
Man, that was some brutal ground play as it kind of bounced backwards and rolled right into the woods. Gonna take him out of birdie position as far as I could tell.
This is a more standard play. However, this is tracking directly at the kind of the one place you can't throw that shot.
Yeah, you want to go just to the left of that tree and make sure you're moving left already by the time you get there.
Wysocki, not much of a layup guy. He's also going to rip over the top. And that's position A.
Yeah, he's the lone player in a good spot.
This sort of counts as a fairway hit for Robert Burridge. He's going to throw big hyzer over the top. I think birdie is out of play. This is all about minimizing your damage. Spotter's taking a good look at this. And I was told by the tournament director, Ty Tanat, that they have 120 volunteers who came out this weekend to share their time, share their eyes, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, they all seem very grateful to be out here, looking at it as an opportunity for them, which I was very appreciative of. There were plenty out there, and great shot there from Ricky, making this hole look pretty easy for the second most difficult on the course.
I think that difficulty, not so much by out of bounds, but as just the specificity of the second shot, especially. Callaway with a pretty good shot up towards circle's edge, and Calvin, you see him lining up a bunch of little options and has to putt.
Yeah, he got a dirty roll into the woods as he looked to be about 25, 30 feet in there after landing in the fairway. Pitched out, gonna see if he can execute a little bit better than Ben's upshot. Try to get that tap-in par here.
Does so well. You see that no matter how soft you land it, you're going to get a little check and roll.
Yeah, pretty precarious pin position.
And Burridge going to track down the hill to the backside into circle 2. He's kind of still paying for that errant tee shot. Step putt, and unable to save. Going to take a bogey.
Just ran out of pace going up that hill. Bit on the left side. This is for Ben's par.
And a little shorter than I anticipated on his shot. But Wysocki, good bounce back stat.
Yeah, gets himself back to 4. Callaway also gonna bounce backwards to 4. As well as Robert, who's gonna be dropping in a bogey. And Calvin Heimburg with the pitch out, gonna be able to tap in his par.
Even though it feels icky to have to pitch out, executing that next shot is a big round saver. Hole 12, 260 feet. It's a double mandatory. We're going to play downhill over a little out-of-bounds creek. There's some out-of-bounds right as well. Basket is elevated, and you can just see the corner of it from the tee. Forehand and backhand both play pretty well. Wysocki trying to just beat a forehand into the ground and get some ground play. He will skip up to circle 1. That looked, Nathan, that looked terrible, right? We can call it what it was.
Yeah, I don't think that was exactly as intended. But he is going to be inside circle 1. Those rocks right there are just inside circle 1. This is the shot right here. Calvin going to go mid-range there to try to make sure he maintains the height over those rocks. Putter is difficult to get it to carry without hitting those rocks. It is possible, but much more difficult to do. So you might see, although it is short and downhill, you might see mid-ranges rather than putters here.
And Callaway also going to do that with a buzz. Never quite flips it over, but does get a good counter skip into the circle.
We'll see if Robert does Ricky's line or if he's got a different forehand.
Oh, this is trouble. This is tracking to the right.
Yeah, this is heading right towards that OB on the right, and any OB goes to a drop zone on this hole.
It's pretty playable, but no real chance to save par. This also running towards the right side for Burridge. But we'll have a bogey putt. Wysocki. Little uphill.
Elevated basket as well, but no worries for him. Back-to-back birdies, moves himself to 5 under par on the round.
And Callaway rewarded with a obstructed putt.
Oh, and just not quite enough room. Catches some branches on the way by. Now going to be looking to tap in his par. Calvin Heimburg ready for another birdie. Gonna move to 6 under par now.
Yeah, nicely done. I like the rhythm of his backswing there. Callaway, again a knee putt, Nathan. This is a tricky little green where you're clear 20 feet around it, but outside of that, who knows?
Right.
And I think that's just fine for 260.
Yeah, definitely so. They're making it a viable 260-foot shot for a tour caliber course. I don't think anybody thinks this is a cheapie. Hole 13, 333-foot par 3 with a few different lines here. You've got the one that the drone is flying pretty straight. There's a wider forehand around, and then there's also kind of a high forehand. Backhand around probably where Ricky's going to go right here. Yes, this is what I was going to say. Also got that backhand play that fades in. There's a little hillside just next to the basket that slopes down to some OB. Not as tight, I believe, as last year, but there is still some OB in there.
And even at 333 downhill, this is sometimes a treacherous shot. If you get bogged down early or get too aggressive running the elevated basket. Calvin taking another moment to reset. Heiser release, trying to play a left to right moving shot. I really like the shape.
Man, I love that play.
And as far right as that moved, it still didn't get as right as the basket, but is going to be inside the circle. Calvin with another chance to tack on a birdie.
Oh man, I'm liking seeing these righty backhands rather than forehands here, because although the basket does move to the right, it feels like this play just shapes towards the pin a little better, especially on Calvin's line.
Right.
That inside line is the line that I like to take as a lefty, but the first tree is very close and makes it a bit uncomfortable, where that backhand for Calvin opens up that line nicely.
Right, and I think because of the gentleness of the turn, it's gradually moving right for a long time. As Burridge was unable to hang it wide enough. A couple different errors we've seen from Callaway and Burridge on that type.
Yeah, and this is what you were talking about, getting into some trouble early. If you catch those trees, you can be in some pretty tricky spots, but not tricky enough for Robert Burridge, who is tired of those back-to-back bogeys. He's going to make sure he gets a par.
And I tell you what, I know we don't give replays for everything, but doggone, that is a huge shot from Robert Burridge. Calvin, he is 6'30" and going to use all of it in order to putt around the tree right near the basket.
Yeah, just enough power on that. As you saw, it was dropping quickly. Difficult to get that same power you're used to when you're straddled out that far. But he does, moves himself to 7 down now.
Ricky sticking it high in the chains for his 3.
Yeah, and just 23% of the field carding the birdie on this one, showing you it is a pretty tricky line to access.
That's definitely something I appreciate when a short par 3 is both fair but challenging. Hole 14, 720 feet as a par 4. Your landing zone gets continuously more narrow as you throw down here. There is an out-of-bounds creek that kind of plays with the right side towards the green as well. Placement is very critical here in order to set up the shot through the funnel, although we may see players go over top if they're out of position. Likely fairway drivers, possibly mids off the tee.
Yeah, although the fairway is wider than 15 to 20 feet, I'd say you've got about 15 feet or so of middle space that you want to land in to have a good angle. Calvin is not quite in that space.
No, I like that his disc was drifting to the right, but it absolutely needed to get back before the tree line, not get the little bump out help. Ricky going to play the forehand. This also is a viable option, swinging wide and then back in.
I like this line better. It feels easier to land in that middle spot because you're able to hang it out a bit wider.
Right, turn it into a one-angle shot.
There is a tree in the middle. You have to trust it around, though. You have to make sure you push it around it.
Callaway, backhand, hyzer release, looking for the flip up to glide.
Not quite enough flip up here. He's going to catch the right side of that set of trees I was talking about. And it's possible to reach the pin from there. It just depends on what type of stance he has or if those branches impede him at all.
Yeah, and he'll be close to 400 feet away. Burridge going to follow Wysocki's line. Flat release, high, but very overstable. Look at that get back in a hurry.
Oh, and he's going to catch that tree as well. Got back in too much of a hurry. Didn't quite get around it. Looks like he's going to have a run up. I think he's just maybe behind this tree. He's looking pretty aggressive here.
And playing the hyzer shot.
Wow. What an understable frisbee.
Goodness.
Wow.
Like hitting the gap perfectly, unafraid of the out of bounds. Nicely done. Callaway going to be more conservative, little layup play, and nothing wrong with this.
No, that's what he had to do there, really. If he got more aggressive than that, he was kind of on a knee. Really difficult to try to trust yourself with 380, 400 feet of power.
Wysocki going to force a forehand through. This needs to drift to the left at some point. Tags every branch on the way in and does land safe. He'll have a probably circle two's edge look for a birdie opportunity.
And Calvin, probably very overstable disc in hand, going to force something over and wanting it to flatten quick. And
fights through the left side.
Not terrible.
Yeah, for what he had and how he threw it, that's a pretty good result. Callaway playing his third, and I don't love it.
Oh, he's loving that gap hit, though. That could have been in a lot more trouble that he's in now, but still in circle two for a par. As Calvin looking for a long birdie.
What a save. What a birdie save to get to 8 down on the round. That kind of came out of nowhere.
And got that putt dialed in now. Hit it dead center with pace on it still. That was probably 55, 60 feet. Got himself a second turkey of the round now.
Wysocki from deep. And runs around the right side of the basket. He'll have to settle for a par. Ben Callaway for his 4.
Yeah, this would be a big save, but gonna come up just a bit low.
And clearly frustrated.
Oh, and that would have been a great birdie from out of position. It's a great second shot to get there.
You kind of see the suddenness of Burridge's putt, and I think that right side miss is what happens when he gets a little out of sorts.
Yeah, it kind of sneaks up on you. It looks like he's setting himself, and then he putts real quick. 26% of the field taking a birdie on this hole, but 22% taking bogey or above. Enough doubles in there to make it average just over par. Moves us into hole 15, 600-foot par 4. That first tree we just passed, those low branches cause a lot of trouble here. Make it pretty difficult to get too far past that tree. You've got OB all the way down the right side for your second shot as well. Easy to skip into the wood line left if you don't trust your disc out over that OB right.
And Nathan, there aren't that many holes on tour that are 600 feet, par 4, and good and hard. Like, they've kind of hit all of that Venn diagram.
Yeah, without being silly as well.
Good shot by Calvin Heimburg up onto the hillside. And I think they achieved that by this being a tee shot that requires a pretty specific landing zone to be in a real honey spot. And then another high-level shot for your second.
Right, and it's a shot that you're seeing, 250, 300 feet on maybe, but still possibly some drivers. Like, it's making you throw shots that you wouldn't typically throw.
Right. Almost a backwards par 4 where you can't just go bite off 440 and call it a day. Little short and inside by Robert Burridge after 2 good shots from Wysocki and Heimburg. Callaway going to go back to that Predator. You see he's playing a little slower right now, trying to right the ship after the bogey on 14, and that's a good way to do so.
Oh yeah, nice tee shot up and around that tree. Burridge going to be the farthest back, really going to have to trust this out wide.
Yeah, you need to think your disc is going to be out of bounds for a little while. Otherwise, it's liable to run down the slope into that left side.
Just like that.
You can putt from there. And flattening a little bit. And good scoot on the grass.
Yeah, threw understable enough that he didn't really skip down into the woods, rather just kind of skidded along.
And Wysocki and Heimburg have gotten high enough and far enough on the hill that they're able to throw mid-ranges. You see how much more muted this fade will be.
Oh, yeah, and incredible touch right there. Gets the distance just right. He's going to be just outside that bullseye. Most likely moving to 6 under par.
Calvin, you hear the little frustration in his voice, as that is also going to track down to the left.
Yeah, pretty big miscue there. I'm not sure if he meant to put a little more anhyzer on that or if he just wanted to throw it harder and lower. But either way, he must have thrown it just where he needed to, because look at this birdie putt. That was clean.
Heavens. Like no wobble on it, between the trees, over and under.
I don't think it touched a single leaf on the way out, and he is now 9 down, 4 birdies in a row.
And Burridge, maybe even a little more obstructed despite being closer. Callaway with a good stick.
Yeah, nice bounce back for him. Going to move back to 4 under par. Yeah, Robert made that putt look more like what you would expect it to look like. Calvin making it look a bit easier than it is, as Ricky Wysocki is going to be able to card his birdie. Move us into hole 16.
Whether you're out playing a tournament or just hanging out with friends, don't let your grip cost you strokes out on the disc golf course.
Barry, try this.
When you have a better grip on your discs, you have the confidence to perform your best with each throw and every putt. Whale sacks are whale-shaped grip bags designed to dry your hands so you can trust that you have the best grip on your disc. Get a whale sack, because better grip means better confidence.
Hole 16, of course, is going to throw us a little change up here. 315 feet, but steeply downhill, moving towards the left. Out of bounds, left, right, long of the green. This is all about speed control. Take a putter, throw it slowly, let it move left, and let it run out of gas. This is very high, and it's going to find the hillside or just the bucket.
Yeah, I guess you can't do it much better than that. I thought it was high also. We'll take a look at this replay. It had just enough height on it to miss all those branches, hit the ground, and dialed in that base nicely.
The most common mistake, as Wysocki going to slow down a little bit with a standstill, and I like the way this is coming in. Kind of a weird reaction off the ground. He'll be near circle 2. We'll see if he's that dude, if he wants to run that putt. I think the idea is to get 1 or 2 skips on the downslope and let that kind of take the speed off of your disc. You don't want to air it all the way to the basket.
And this looks great. He is going to catch that like you were talking about. Get that 1 skip, kind of skittle down there on the second shot. And that's how you draw it up right there.
Absolutely. You notice that everybody making their disc move to the left with their angle, not trying to rely on stability to move it there for them.
And this one is a bit more stable, though, and you see why that doesn't quite work out as well. He would have had to throw that faster to get it to go straight, which could have caused some issues down there at the bottom.
Ricky about 15 feet above the basket.
Oh, boy.
Still runs it.
Casual run there.
Yeah, not going to pay for his wild decision. Burridge also going to run it, and I thought he did it.
Oh, man, that looked great. But same result as Ricky, just going to end up low. But Ben Callaway, Calvin Heimburg, going to card the birdies here.
And Callaway told me that he has not birdied this hole in 4 years. So let's start a new streak today, Ben.
Yeah, you better birdie it every time now for 4 years. Ricky with the par. Calvin Heimburg has 5 birdies in a row.
And bear in mind, he was even through 4.
Yeah, turned it on nicely. Speaking of nicely done, man, hole 17's new tee pad is just fantastic. Beautiful 330-foot par 3. ideal wooded shot right here. You've got a beautiful grass fairway still, even though you're in the woods. Little bit of an OB carry to start. There's one low branch off of the tee that kind of checks your height. You can't get it much higher than that one low branch.
And Heimburg going to get himself near circle's edge. Nicely done.
I don't know what it is about this hole, but it's one of my favorites now.
It's so visually appealing.
Just
You're
beautiful
rewarded for throwing a good shot. And brand new concrete tee pad, terrace structure around it. I was told that they had 50 volunteers spending hundreds of hours to make course changes like this possible.
Yeah, 2 brand new bridges that bring you around as well. As Ben Callaway throws a great shot there. May have got a little bit of a nasty tree kick at the end, but should be inside the circle.
And a little different approach here from Wysocki. I think this is a felon that he's forcing over and kind of letting pan back.
Yeah, I like it.
That's how you throw a counterclockwise spin shot.
It is, and for a felon, that didn't have a lot of dump at the end, and he was able to control that nicely. Nice flat shot, slide up there at the end.
Burridge forcing the hyzer, letting it flip up.
Oh, yeah. Catches that grass. If you can carry to the wood chips, you'll get a slide up there. But with that grass, it's going to hang you up a bit short. Is able to give that one a little better bid than we have seen from his Circle 2s today as he gets the height on it, but just a bit too high.
And Heimburg momentarily losing his balance. Really trying to emphasize the follow through, it looks like.
Yeah, it is putting a bit uphill here, so needs that extra follow through. Try to make sure he maintains the height that you want. And kind of missed the follow through on the putt.
Yeah, disgusted with himself. Checks it again. Callaway from about 20 or so. And in. Another turkey.
Gobble, gobble.
And Ricky Wysocki now lining up. And he sticks it in as well.
Yeah, nice birdie. I like the forehand play on that one. Kind of like you were saying about some holes earlier on. You've got options. Although there is specific shots, there are shapes that you need to hit. You have options to do that out here.
Hole 18, 1,080 feet as a par 5. A lot of open space on your tee shot. There is an out of bounds line down the entire left side. Right side is wooded and unpleasant, but not out of bounds. A good second shot gets up to this clearing, leaving a relatively open 350 to 250 into the green. Just a really, really solid finishing hole, Nathan.
Definitely so. That 1080 is playing, I would say, close to 1,200 with the uphill nature of this hole. Really want to stay off to the left side, I think, off of the tee shot, so you have room to pull it over and get to the right side of that late bush that you were saying you want to clear on the second.
Ricky, hyzer release, gets it up to flat for a little bit, and that's actually going to hug down the right side.
But he has passed those first couple of trees that could bring you trouble, so he should be able to just rip another similar shot, just less uphill, and be in a good spot.
Heimburg, good tug. He's going to be way up there on the left side.
Good so far.
And potentially, being so far left, he might entertain the idea of carrying the out of bounds with a turnover shot. It's risky, but could go much further. Burridge, pretty much playing pure hyzer, gets up to a perfectly fine spot.
Oh yeah, he's going to fight all the way back left. Just where you want to be. 2 placement shots needed on these first 2 shots. It's not just 2 big shots. You've got to get in a good spot so you can put yourself in another good spot on this second. As Ben did get around that second bush, he's going to be in a fantastic spot inside 330 or so.
Yeah, I think that large, I think it's a Russian olive bush, is the defining line of whether you've thrown a good second shot or not. Wysocki a little short of that, but still in fine position. Robert going to go big high hyzer.
Oh.
This is tracking towards the left side out of bounds.
It's a little scary.
Yeah, make him turn.
But into a just absolutely perfect position.
Oh, he smashed it.
Yeah.
That's so far up there. He's inside 300.
And if he was able to get to there, where's Calvin going to go? Boost over the right side trees.
Oh, yeah. Big swing. He's going to be way past that olive that you were speaking of and up there in a good spot. There is one more cluster of trees.
Everybody should be able to avoid it. As Wysocki into circle 1 for his 4. Going to close out.
Should move him to 8 under par now. Ben going with the backhand in rather than forehand, and he's going to slide up there to right around the bullseye's edge. Also looking for a 4.
You see the couple different approaches there, throwing the overstable forehand or the straighter backhand.
Back to the overstable forehand here. Whoa. Calvin probably getting more skip than he expected there, but still going to be inside circle 1.
And Burridge, a very nice approach into the bullseye. He will close out with a 4 under.
Oh, we've got a good opportunity here. Calvin Heimburg, 11 under. Great starting round after a slow start to the round.
And Wysocki pushes himself to 8 down. A couple careless errors scuttled his chances of a really, really good round, but still hanging in there in the top 20.
Ben Callaway also with a few errors along the way, but gonna finish with 4 birdies in a row to get to 7 under par. And Robert Burridge started off clean, had a couple troubles on the back, but also gonna finish with a birdie to get our second diamond of the round.
And you see it there on the back, Calvin Heimburg taking off. A couple bogeys in there mixed in for the rest of the card. And in our round 1 leaderboard, got a couple of Iowa boys out in front.
Yeah, a couple of 13 downs on the round, 11s, 10s, and 9s to follow that up. Everybody all close together as we've come to expect here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour in 2023. Thank you guys for joining us for the first round out here in Des Moines, Iowa. Make sure you tune in to round 2 coverage coming out for you tomorrow. For Andrew Fish, I'm Nathan Queen, and we'll see you guys out there.